Peace, 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 family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. My name is Keisha. I'm the owner of Astrologiks, and I am your astrology coach. Today, I'm going to be discussing the next major 2025 transit, which is Saturn entering into Aries. This will happen on May 25th of 2025 to September 1st, 2025. It will retrograde back into Pisces until February 13th of 2026 and finally move back into Aries to April 12th, 2028. The last time Saturn was in Aries was 1996 to 1998. And prior to that, it was 1967 to 1969. So you can go and do some research to see what was coming up, what themes and things were happening during those years. That'll give you some insights as to other ways this can be playing out. However, my next video I will be doing will be Neptune conjunct Saturn, and I have some dates there where I've actually went through some of the themes that have happened that can also show us some things that we can expect to happen throughout these next few years. Saturn spends about 2.5 years in every sign. Saturn rules restrictions, delays, limits, boundaries. This can be like doubt and lack of confidence, where we fear failure and where we have to face reality. Saturn is our reality. Um, Saturn is also some of our biggest lessons. Wherever you have Saturn at in your chart, you go through your Saturn return. And so people who have natal Saturn and Aries, you will be going through your Saturn return. Um, and these are some of the biggest lessons that we learn throughout life for all of us. And it's some of the toughest lessons too. It's where we have to master something to become responsible and mature. Um, Aries is a cardinal fire sign. And interestingly enough, Aries is not happy in Saturn, although the ruler of Aries, Mars, is exalted in Capricorn. And so this can indicate that Aries has to learn to be more disciplined, structured, and responsible. And I think the reason why Aries might be said not to be happy in Saturn is because Aries wants to just go. It's a fast moving energy. It jumps into things without thinking. And in that way, that energetically it goes against Aries. Saturn is like, whoa, hold on, let's think this through. And Saturn doesn't want to do that. And Aries doesn't want to do that, sorry. And so energetically for Aries, this could cause a lot of like depletion in energy, um, and force us to stop and think things through before we move ahead with things like a retrograde. It can really quite literally feel like we're in a retrograde. Um, and that's the part where Aries is like, nah, fuck that. I want to do this today. But I think it's exalted in Mars because Capricorn is like building structures and Aries is the builder, right? And so I think we can see a lot of limitations um, put on construction, building bridges, building walls. There can be a lot of limitations, delays around these themes. Um, it also rules masculinity. And if you've been following me for a really long time, I kept talking about how this is the rise of masculine energy. And my personal and professional opinion, I think women have already gone through this and ascended, even though I feel like, the fact that women have power, especially here in America, is a false reality. Nonetheless, we've still gone through a huge major transition when it comes to women having rights to do things where before they never had the right to those things, right? Well, and I won't say never, by the way, because prior to this era, you go back to ancient Egypt, that wasn't even a reality. So I have to be careful with how I say that and make that part clear. As far as I'm concerned, women have had their fall from ascension, from having power and the rights and equal opportunities, especially when you look back to ancient Egyptian astrology and historical facts, right? They had their fall to losing that power, right? That's a karmic lesson. Whenever something is taken from you and you have to go through an ascension process, then you rise back up to the top. And so I think most people would agree that women have gotten that back um, in this reality, right? And now, due to that process, men have fallen from grace, and we have a lot more men who lack masculinity. Um, there's a lot more toxic masculinity, and people are lost in that sense, or men are lost in that sense to the point where now they're going through their ascension process. I think this is going to be more highlighted and in our face because obviously it's something that's been going on to the point where they have to rise back up to their position of whatever masculinity is. Um, because Aries rules masculinity. Um, Aries is also going to be in Neptune. I just did that video, as well as a lot of air transits are going to be happening, and air is masculine energy. So there's some kind of karmic lessons, blessings, ascension, downfall that is going to happen even more so than it already is with masculine energy, in my personal and professional opinion. It's their turn now. So we'll see a lot more downfall because anytime you have an energy that starts off that needs to be readdressed in some way, it always happens on the lower expression of it first. And then once we overcome that, it becomes a higher expression. And we have a few years for that to play out. Now, there are already some people out there who are in their higher masculine energy, and they'll be the ones fighting against the toxic lower expressions of masculine energy. They'll be the forefronts to define or redefine or realchemy what masculine energy is. Um, in some way, shape, or form. We'll see a lot more movements and a lot more advocating for the need of those things coming up a lot more over these next few years. I also think another way this can be showing up is a loss of identity. And this is not just masculine energy. Well, this is everybody. Even though we both have masculine and feminine energy in us, by the way. But overall, Aries is our identity. It lives in the first house. It rules our body, and um, our head and self-esteem, right? And so this is essentially about you, yourself alone, and how you identify with yourself, whether you identify with who you are right now, the mistakes that you've made, um, and kind of overcoming that in some way, shape, or form is going to be a tremendous part of this transit, is finding your identity. And it could happen through a loss of identity, not knowing where to go, not feeling comfortable in your own body. Um, and really struggling with who you are and who you want to become, especially as we're entering into, again, a lot of this newer energy. We're going to be finding ourselves, um, and becoming happy and accepting ourselves for who we are. Because Saturn is ruled by Capricorn, and Capricorn is our body, our bone structure. I also think this could have a lot to do with talking about people getting surgeries in some way, shape, or form. This could even be like a loss of testosterone and men having trouble with this and the need to rebuild it in some kind of way. But this could also just be like nip tuck, a series, a scene, something to do with nip tuck and how people are consistently getting implants and changes to their faces, whatever. I think of like the Michael Jacksons and, all the people who are doing these types of things, or that whole entire industry can, again, there can either be some kind of delays, um, legislation or laws against it, or again, people are starting to question any of those types of changes that they have gotten. On a health level, it could also just be that there's a loss of bone density and bone health, um, in some way, shape, or form. These institutions who run these things, or whatever, iron, who makes iron pills, like these places can all be in question, and or there could be like more knowledge or information that's being put out there on how to build bone density, um, and anything to do with your bones in some kind of way. Um, Another way I feel like this can be shown up is your dentistry, and that whole entire field. Again, there can be some kind of delay or changes in that industry that reconstruct how we deal with teeth. Or again, there's going to be some kind of knowledge or research out there that's going to talk more about how to care for your teeth, perhaps from home. With Pluto and Aquarius, we're going to be doing it in a very unique and unconventional ways. I don't know, maybe you could just order this shit on online. I don't know what they're going to do, but I can almost imagine that something reconstructing the way we do our dental health and care can be coming up in a pretty big way. Um, yeah. And so outside of that, we have to be responsible for our actions. This is what Saturn and Aries is asking us to do, accountability. Um, and this is going to help us build discipline and set realistic goals. I know what else I was going to say about that before I continue is not bone, muscle gaining. Another way this can show up is through um, the how you build muscle, whatever that process is. However work out every day, whatever different kind of like exercises or things that you have to do to build muscle, these things are going to become like really, 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 really big topics with this transit, even to the point where it might not even have anything to do with building muscle, but like metaphorically, you're building up to something that takes muscle, to takes again discipline and consistency. Saturn is the things that we do over and over again to gain some kind of mastery until we learn it definitively, which means we cannot be afraid of failing because failing is a part of the process. It's how you react to the failure or how you begin to think about the failure that makes the difference. So you start a new job. If anybody has seen like they have like a chart that they'll show you of what it looks like to start a business. They say any business that you start is the first 5 years is a shit show. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, all the way throughout that 5 year process, which is what I like to call a pilot program. I like to think of it as a pilot program. A pilot program is a smaller program that you start within a bigger program that allows you to do trial and error, right? It allows you to measure mistakes through saying, I'm going to give this 3 to 6 months to see how this product, this service works. And throughout that 3 to 6 months, you learn through ups and downs how something is working, how it's not working. And that is the business of starting a business, no matter who you are. All the people who are in higher positions have been through it. This is the process. Nobody gets to exclude this process in any way, shape, or form. Whatever you're doing, starting, learning in life, even if it's just learning a skill and not starting a business, there's always going to be fluctuations and ups and downs. So, not to be afraid of them, but to take them in stride, sit with them and be like, all right, that shit didn't work out. Okay. So now when you sit back, we don't want to take away people's human responses to them, right? Because it's painful. It hurts. You're going to feel some type of way about it. You could possibly go into some kind of depression and feel down and start self-doubting yourself. Like those things are going to come naturally as a human being, right? It's human nature. But you get back up and you start analyzing the process. Okay. What did I do wrong? What could I do better? And analyze that, write it down, anecdote it, make note of it. It's called you're measuring your where you're at and what's going wrong and what's going good, right? And then you can take things out and put them back in and change things around, try to do something different. Like that is the process. The same way you go through shadow work. Most people think, being spiritually um and tuned is this easy process and everybody wants to do it and it's great and it's awesome. Bitch, it's hard. Okay. This is not for the weak. You have to be able to know that when something doesn't work out, it was a blessing in disguise. And to rewire your brain when you have so many other things out there that are showing you otherwise or saying otherwise, it can be really, really, really hard to do. And so, no matter where you're at in life, what you're doing in life, you have to measure, accept, and readjust, right? Um, so measuring your failures, acceptance, and then readjust. Those themes are going to be very, very, very big throughout these next few years. Which also means that people might be more open to getting coaching, a mentor, or finding somebody or some book or something where they can kind of read through to get some kind of insight, support, and being uplifted in some kind of way. Um, And so, yeah, so we have to take responsibility for our actions, which builds discipline and allows us to set more realistic goals, right? Aries wants things immediately, but Saturn says, have you mastered the skills necessary to achieve this for long term? This is what I love about Saturn. Saturn's a tough planet. It is not a joke, it's not a game. But when you do master it, it's a lifetime. Like nobody can take that experience and everything that you've learned through that process. Nobody can take that from you. I don't give a damn. People can spit on you, shit on you, talk about you, laugh at you, say whatever you want. But once you build that muscle, you will never lose that ability to say, fuck you. I still made it. Look at me now, but humbly. You don't have to, scoop down to people's level and be like, look at me now. I made it. You end up really becoming an inspiration to others, even your enemies. And, you kind of silently shut people up through your actions, diligence, consistency, and the faith, hope, belief in yourself. So taking a risk on yourself during this time is going to be probably the greatest thing and most liberating thing that you can do over these next few years. Another theme can be self-reliance, where we might feel like we can only depend on ourselves, which is going to help us become independent. Make no mistake, independence does not mean you don't need anybody else. Independence just means whether people stay or go or agree with you or disagree with you, you'll be okay, whatever they choose. It's not going to make or break your independence or the choices that you make before they come and after they leave. You need people. Right? That's a human thing. We need others. We need support. We need to be supportive to others. That's the Libra opposite of Aries is Libra is the social, the marriage, the connections and things of that nature. And I do think that there's a lot of misconception behind the word being independent. Um, and I'm almost 90% positive that there'll be a lot more. I feel like there are already a lot of stuff out there about this, but the right definition of being independent can become more highlighted now. And people will start to see, oh, now I know why I had to go through this, but it's a process, right? It's just a process. You're going to go through that phase of fuck off, fuck everybody. It's just me. It's a part of the process. And unfortunately, it can make you look like an asshole. Let's just keep it a buck, right? But you'll come to a point in life where you're like, shit, I made it. I'm here. I'm independent. I've accomplished a lot. I have a name for myself. I built some kind of integrity for myself and I feel really good, but I'm alone. I'm getting that idea of it's lonely at the top. And it's a very true thing, right? It happens. But again, it's only because you have to build muscle memory. And Saturn is all about lessons that nobody else can help you go on. You have to choose to do it. So a lot of the times people will be removed from your life intentionally through spirit where you're like, no, but that's because your energetic aura, your auric field is changing. And so naturally people who are not on your level anymore are going to naturally fall from your energy. They're not going to be able to keep up. They're not going to be able to withstand where you're at. There's no more connection. Like the connection is gone. And so these could be things like naturally falling out of love with somebody, naturally um, splitting from friends and family and jobs and even your likes and dislikes. Like the places you want to go, the things that you're into, like these things happen naturally as you choose you. And you learn through that process how to you're kind of, it's almost like shedding skin, like a snake shedding skin to its new self. You're becoming a new person, right? Which would also mean that you need new people who are on that same level. And so again, I think a lot of the times we'll hear like a lot of negativity around, oh, well, she thinks she's better than everybody. And, these kind of lower descriptions of this process, which, let's make no mistakes, both are true. Both sides are true. You're an asshole. Okay. But, it's only because none of these people can help you be whatever it is this process is putting you through. None of them. None of them can help you. Only you can see that process for yourself in your own way, right? And so it's a necessary evil in a sense. And some of that you have to do alone, right? But it is also an energetic auric field where people are naturally just going to see you as an asshole, a bitch, or super uppity because they're no longer connected to you energetically and they can't keep up. That's just the process. And then unfortunately, that's just going to come with some really uncomfortable situations and being used to being called out of your name and being looked at as oh, you think you're better than us type of stuff. It's a part of the process. But then you also it leaves energy for new people who are aligned with where you are and where you're going. Um, and another theme, I think I talked a little bit about this, is patience. Aries can get bored easily and give up. And so you will need some kind of strategy. Self-centered can be another theme that comes up, which I feel like I just kind of touched on. But it's through your personal discovery journey, sorry, and trial and error. And taking strategic action is going to be, I feel like this is a higher sense. And so people who have already kind of gone through their mastery and accept their identity and who they are, get this might make more sense to them more than anything, because to me, a strategic action is that you know your surroundings, you know your enemies, and you know who your friends are. You can only have strategy when you know who you're dealing with. If you don't have those things already, there's really not much to know. And so strategy comes with knowledge and already some kind of discipline and open-mindedness to look above and beyond specific things. And that doesn't mean that you accept people or don't accept people for who they are, but you know how to move around them. You know how to sell to that audience, no matter who they are. You're going to know what to say, and you're not going to be afraid of that strategy that you choose. Um, and so that's a little higher on the stakes where again, I feel like people who are already there will be kind of paving the way very strategically to build certain things around how they want to deal with those people, or how they're going to build whatever it is they're building for people who are ready for that level. Um, um, I feel like I could say so much more about that, but that's just what I got. Um, Again, building strength, confidence, inner strength, and overcoming self-doubt are going to be some really strong themes that come up throughout this transit. Um, yes, so you're building your personality, so that you're not afraid of who you are to overcome challenges. It's kind of repetitive, guys. Sorry. Entrepreneurship. Um, A lot of us will start our own businesses and accomplish personal goals and overcome obstacles. Um, Self-doubt can be another theme here. which I did talk about, but again, it's about building character, not giving up, working hard and fighting for what you want, becoming independent, but not avoiding working with others, thinking things through before you take action, confronting your fears can lead to leadership roles. Being open to new beginnings is going to be another huge theme that's going to come up. Taking calculated risks makes you determined. A lot of self-reflection, having time management skills and self-defense skills, coaching or a strict routine. Also be mindful for fatigue. Hard work can lead to fatigue. I feel like that's pretty obvious. And so you will have to balance the two. This can also lead to anger issues with bosses, with our reality, with authority figures, with the government, with corporations. We might really start to question authority figures and their reputation. Um, and there could also be like a lack of police enforcement, or again, construction, blue collar worker jobs. There could be a lot of changes in those fields. So, um, what it is to be a man. I talked about that. So, yeah. So this is my 2025 analysis for Saturn entering into Aries. As usual, family, I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.